She had just discovered she was carrying James's child. And the very next morning, the man she loved was forced onto a plane, leaving her alone, pregnant, and vulnerable. While Diep tried to stay strong, tried to believe that love could survive anything, a shadow stepped into her doorway under the burning midday sun. Not a stranger, but Phat, James's former friend, now working under his father. And his message was clear. James isn't coming back for you, and someone has already been paid to end your life. Tonight, we dive into the moment Diep's happiness was shattered. The moment she realized she must protect not only herself, but the baby growing inside her. If this story moves your ear, please consider subscribing. We're on our way to 10,000. Your support helps this series grow and means the world to us. The morning sunlight spilled softly into the small, modest house, warming the wooden floors, the old curtains, and the gentle smile growing on Diep's lips. Today was supposed to be a peaceful day, a rare one. For the first time in months, the world felt quiet, kind, almost fragile. She sat by the table, fingers lightly pressed over her lower belly. The news from last night still echoed in her chest. She was pregnant. James couldn't stop pacing around, excitement bursting from him like a child trying to hold in laughter. "Diep," he said for the 5th time, voice trembling with joy. "We're really having a baby." Diep blushed. "I know. You keep repeating it. How do you expect me to stop?" James knelt beside her, taking her hand and holding it against his cheek. "I'm going to take care of you, both of you. I'm going to do everything right this time." But before she could answer, James's phone vibrated. He froze. Then he slowly turned it around. Father calling. The joy drained instantly from his face. He answered, hesitating. "Father." The voice on the other end was sharp, cold, leaving no room for warmth. "Pack your things. You're flying to Cambodia today." James stiffened. "I'm not working for you anymore. This is not about work. It's about family. Don't embarrass me. Get to the airport before noon." "I'm not leaving Dai. If you refuse," his father snapped, "forget the Tran family name. You're on your own." The line clicked off. James lowered the phone, breathing hard. "Diep, I can't leave you. Not now. Not when you..." She squeezed his hand, heart aching. "James, go. Handle what you need to. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine." He shook his head. "He's planning something. I can feel it. Then we face it together when you come back." Her smile was gentle, but her eyes were brave. James hugged her so tightly it almost hurt. "I'll come back fast. I promise." 2 hours later, James stood at the doorway, suitcase beside him. Diep fixed the collar of his jacket, memorizing his scent, his warmth, everything about him. "Call me when you land," she said softly. "And you call me if anything feels strange," he insisted. She nodded. When he finally walked down the dusty red road, Diep stayed at the doorway long after he disappeared, one hand resting on her belly. "It's okay, little one," she whispered. "Daddy will be home soon." The next day, Diep forced herself back into routine. She had to. A baby was coming. James was gone. And she couldn't rely on anyone except herself. She carried a heavy basket of oranges to the neighbor's porch. "Auntie," she said gently, "these oranges aren't very pretty, but they're sweet." The woman tasted one. 8,000 a kilo. I'll take them." Diep bowed, grateful. But the worry behind her smile never fully faded. Later, she hurried to the landlord, to pay the deposit for another small warehouse. "Uncle, I'm new here. If anyone has potatoes, corn, ginger, could you introduce me?" He nodded kindly, taking her cash without paperwork. Another small victory. Another brick in the foundation she was building for her tiny family of 3. With each coin she saved, each deal she made, Diep whispered silent vows in her heart. "I will not let my child grow up lacking love. I will not let James fight alone. I will not let this family fall apart." The afternoon sun was harsh, turning her shadow long across the dusty road, thin, small, but never weak. By noon, she returned home, placed the basket down, and poured herself a glass of water. She was wiping sweat from her brow when a shadow crossed the doorway. Diep turned. A man stood there, tall, cold, expression unreadable, but not a stranger. Phat, James's old friend, a man she had seen once before, the same one James's father paid to interfere with their relationship months ago. Her heartbeat stilled. "Mr. Phat?" He stepped inside casually, eyes sweeping the room with unsettling calm. "You're alone," he observed. Diep clenched her fingers nervously. "James is traveling for work." "I know," Phat replied. "His father made sure of that." Her stomach tightened. Phat took one step closer, voice low but precise. "James's father paid a fortune this time, not to separate you quietly, to end this, permanently." Diep's knees weakened. Her breath caught. What are you saying?" "People out there will gladly spend 2 or 3 years in prison," he continued, "for the kind of money he's offering. You and that baby in your belly, you're both targets now." The words crashed into her like ice water. Her hands instinctively wrapped protectively around her stomach. "Give up, James," Phat said calmly, as if it were obvious. "Love is nothing but a transaction. Whoever loves more dies more inside." Diep trembled, but she didn't back away. After several shaky breaths, she lifted her chin. "Even if his father threatens my life, I will never abandon James. We fought too much, survived too much." Phat scoffed. "Love makes people stupid. You'll die for it, and so will the child." Her voice cracked, but her resolve didn't. "Then that's a risk I accept. I would rather die protecting my family than live betraying it." For the first time, Phat's expression flickered. He hadn't expected this small, pregnant woman to burn with such fire. But he wasn't finished. He took another step closer. Phat's shadow cut across the floor like a blade as he stepped further into the room. The midday light poured in behind him, outlining the cold hardness in his posture. Even with the sun beating down outside, the temperature in the tiny house seemed to drop. Diep stood frozen near the table, one hand instinctively braced over her belly. She didn't dare move, not because she feared Phat's strength, but because she feared what he represented. He wasn't just a man, he was a message. James was gone, and his father had sent someone to remind her of that. Phat looked around the small house with an unsettling calm, his expression unreadable. It was as if he was measuring the space, analyzing every weakness. "You know," he said, voice quiet but sharp enough to pierce bone. "People will risk a few years in prison for the kind of money James's father is paying." Diep's breath hitched. Phat continued, "You and that baby, your liabilities. Removing you cleans up his son's life." Her fingers trembled, but she forced her feet to stay rooted. Her spine straightened a little. "Mr. Phat," she spoke carefully, You wouldn't be standing here talking to me if you really wanted to hurt me. A flicker, barely a twitch in his jaw. But she saw it. He stepped closer until she could see the faint scar near his temple. Something old, something earned in a life harsher than hers. You think you know me? He murmured. No, she admitted. But I know you're not heartless. Phat's expression hardened immediately, as if her words had violated some internal rule. Don't make me laugh, he said. James doesn't love you. He loves the peace he gets from you. You're a break, a distraction, not a partner. Diep swallowed the sharp sting of that sentence. It hurt, but she didn't flinch. James loves me, she said softly, and I love him. We didn't choose each other because it was easy. We chose each other because even in the worst days, we stayed. Phat stared at her, unmoving. So Diep continued, voice steady even through the tremor beneath. When I was sick and alone, he walked through the night just to make sure I ate. When Nee had nightmares, he held her until morning. When I thought the world had forgotten me, he told me I didn't have to face it alone. Her voice cracked, but her gaze never wavered. That's not an escape. That's love. The room fell silent except for the slow, tired creak of the old ceiling fan turning above them. Phat finally exhaled through his nose, slow, controlled, but deep enough to reveal something shifting under the surface. You think love can protect you? He asked, his tone lower now, more dangerous. Love doesn't stop bullets. Love won't stop the men who are paid to make you disappear. Diep's heart thudded painfully. For a split second, fear flooded her eyes, but she didn't let it drown her. She took a shaky breath. Maybe love can't stop bullets, but courage can. And I'm not running. Phat stepped closer again, close enough that Diep could feel the coldness radiating off him. You're pregnant, Diep. Weak, slow, vulnerable. You won't survive what's coming. She pressed her hand protectively over her belly. Then I'll survive it for my child, she whispered, even if it kills me. This time, Phat's eyes widened. Not much, but enough that Diep noticed. He hadn't expected her to choose death over fear. He hadn't expected her to burn this fiercely. Something shifted in the air between them. He approached the table, his gaze landing on the small donut sitting in a dish, a simple pastry, slightly imperfect, still soft from the morning. He frowned. What is this? Diep swallowed, then pushed the dish toward him with gentle fingers. Try it, she said quietly. I made it for James before he left, but he had to rush. Phat stared at the donut like it was something fragile, something he didn't know how to handle. I'm not hungry. You don't have to be hungry, Diep replied softly. Just try it. That tone, it wasn't naive nor pleading. It was human. And that somehow was worse for Phat than any argument. He picked the donut up reluctantly, holding it awkwardly in one hand, as if it was a weight he didn't understand. Listen, he said, voice harder again. This is my last warning. Diep raised her chin, one hand over her stomach, eyes steady. James only loves you because you have something he lacks, Phat said. You have A, he has B. That's attraction. That's dependency, not love. Diep closed her eyes briefly, breathing through the pain of hearing those words. When she opened them again, they glistened, but not with defeat. No matter what you say, she whispered, I believe in him. Phat scowled. Why? And Diep gave him the one answer he couldn't strike down. Because if I don't believe in love, how can I teach this child to believe in their father? The words hit him like a blow he didn't expect. His gaze dropped to her belly. A moment passed, a deep, conflicted moment that neither of them understood fully. The sunlight spilling through the window softened. Dust floated in the air. The donut in his hand felt heavier than any weapon he'd ever held. Finally, he tore his eyes away. "I've done my part," he muttered. "I delivered the message." He walked toward the doorway, but paused. Without turning, he said in a low voice, "You should leave this place before someone else comes." Diep didn't move. "Thank you," she said gently, "for warning me." For the briefest instant, Phat's fingers tightened around the donut, an involuntary reaction he quickly suppressed. He let out a rough breath. "I hope you won't regret what you're choosing." Diep replied immediately, "The only thing I would regret is abandoning my family." Phat froze. Not long, just half a second, but enough. He stepped out into the harsh sunlight, his posture straight, his shadow long, his expression unreadable, cold, rattled, or something torn in between. Diep remained at the doorway until his silhouette disappeared down the dirt road. Only then did she close the door, leaning her forehead against the wooden surface for a long breath. Her whole body trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of everything she carried alone. She placed both hands on her belly. "It's all right, little one," she whispered, voice breaking. "Mommy will protect you, no matter what." Outside, the wind shifted. Inside, the house felt impossibly quiet. Diep knew storms were coming, but today, she had survived one battle, and though Phat had left, one question lingered in her heart. Was he truly an enemy, or just a man caught between duty and the tiny flicker of humanity he couldn't extinguish? Lauren? In this episode, Diep and James are overwhelmed with joy after discovering she is pregnant. But their happiness is cut short when James's father forces him to fly to Cambodia immediately, using the Tran family name as leverage. Left alone, Diep tries to stay strong, working, saving, and silently promising to protect her small family. But danger arrives in broad daylight. Phat, James's former friend, now controlled by his father, appears at Diep's home to deliver a chilling warning. She and her unborn child have become targets, and someone has already been paid to remove them. Despite the threat, Diep refuses to abandon her love or her family, standing firm even when Phat tries to break her spirit. By the end of the confrontation, Phat leaves conflicted, torn between loyalty to James's father and the quiet strength he sees in Diep. Alone again, Diep vows to protect her baby and wait for James, no matter what danger comes next.